everyone. Welcome to Vision Science Academy. My name is Sepide. I'm the training manager at the Vision Science Academy for the USA region. Today I have Ken with me. Ken is an American-Australian author of the upcoming book Positive Vision. How are you, Ken?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Welcome to the Vision Science Academy. I'm so excited to talk to you today. So I would like to know, when did you first realize you wanted to be a writer?
Well, I'd written a little bit off and on in terms of chapters and sections of other people's books. And I'd written a lot of stuff in my life in terms of reports and proposals and strategies and plans and things related to my business work, but I never really thought that much about writing my own book until recently. And then I thought, well, it would be sort of fun to do it, and it might help other people with poor vision, and hopefully, more importantly, a lot of other people, any kind of vision, would think it was fun and adventurous and humorous.
That is really impressive. So how long does it take you to write a book?
Well, I'm sure it varies dramatically by person and subject and everything, but it took me about 2 years. Largely, though, that sounds way worse than it is, because I would work on it a little, then I would take a gap, then I'd work on it a little, then I'd take a gap. Like I'd work for a day or two, and then I wouldn't work on it for a week or two. I'd work on it for weeks, and then I wouldn't work on it for months. So it was very spread out. The other thing that happened was, and this worked out really, really well, I gave the book to an early draft of the book to 10 friends, and asked them for comments and feedback and what they thought and suggestions. And that worked out spectacularly well. Some people came back with really good rearrangement, sort of strategic suggestions. Other people turned out to be super not copywriters, proofreading people, copy editors. And other people, actually one of my favorite comments was one of my friends, very good friend. He came back and his comments were he circled all the parts of the book where he is mentioned. He said, that's me. And I said, well, I know that's you, but do you have any suggestions? So anyway, I got great suggestions, and that worked out so well. I spent a lot of time working on improving the book based on that. And then it worked out so well, I showed it to 10 completely different friends, and that worked out just as well. So I did all of that before giving it to a professional editor, and I think it really made a difference.
That's really impressive. Within 2 years, I cannot do that. It takes me maybe 5 years to finish the book. That's really impressive.
Well, you have to pick a subject you're interested in, and when you're not writing it and when you're not working on it, you always have it in the back of your mind, and that helped a lot too, because I'd go, wait a minute, I left this out, or I thought of this incident, I thought of this adventure, and I'd just write it down, and then when I went back to writing, I'd have those notes.
Impressive. Well, what is your work schedule like when you're writing?
I'm now retired. I used to work long, 60, 70-hour weeks, and that was what I was used to. And now I feel like a total goof off. I write whenever I want. I don't write whenever I want. I spend much more time doing other things. I'm able to spend much more time working out, and I'm an amateur jazz trumpet player, and spend time doing that. So, there's all those kind of things, as well as social events. My wife and I like doing all kinds of different things, going to listen to speakers and movies and socializing with friends. So all of that's good. Although with COVID-19 here, we're in lockdown at the moment, severe lockdown. So there's a big restraint on what you can do and can't do. So a lot of the things we would normally be doing, we just can't do. You can't invite people over for dinner. You can't go over to somebody's house, all of those kind of things. So The good news is when I'm working on things related to the book, which is a pretty solitary heads down activity, it coincides well with the COVID-19 lockdown. So it's a little bit of a coincidental side benefit.
So, well, what would you say is your interesting writing quirk?
Writing quirk. I don't know if I would count it as a quirk, but one of the things I had to really adjust and found challenging while writing is I'd spent most of my life writing sort of plans and proposals and memos and things that had bullet points and numbers and graphs and charts and PowerPoints and that kind of stuff. So it's like, boom, 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 do this, do this, do this, here's how much it'll cost, all of those kind of things, which is completely the opposite of what you want and it basically an adventure anecdote book. You want stories that flow and are interesting and page turning. So I had to fight decades of writing reports, change that style completely. Luckily, lots of the stories in the book I had lots of experience telling as anecdotes, just, with friends sitting around talking and stuff. So I could model the pace and style of the writing to match a verbal discussion. And that worked out really well. So, but it was a change for me.
That is really useful for me because I'm not that good writer. That is really good for me. I should practice the same way you follow, which is.
I'm sure you're a great writer.
Not like you. I'm working on it. So, how do your books get published?
Well, I'm very excited. The book is going to be launched virtually, book launch on September 18th, 2020. 2020 being, of course, a great year to launch a book on vision, even if my vision is far, far from 2020. But the book is going to be in paperback and hardcover and as all the different formats of an ebook, Kindle, etc. And that'll happen on the 18th. And then a little after that, I'm still working on the narration, an audiobook will come out, and that'll be in all the different audiobook formats, including Audible.
I really like the option you provided because, like me, I don't get time. I like to listen like audiobook, which I in my spare time I do like pet talk. I listen it when I'm in my car driving. This is fantastic, especially Kindle.
Yeah, and I think more and more people are doing that. I think audiobooks are popular for that exact reason.
Exactly.
Plus, there's a small subset of, the audience of the book that, really does have trouble physically seeing and reading. So the audiobook could be great for them.
That is really good for me, especially. I will be the first person gonna listen to it, and also the Kindle is a good option because some books are not available in Kindle. That's really fantastic. So, where do you get your information or ideas for your book?
Well, it was virtually no research required. This book is all anecdotes and adventures from my life. I did have to research some stuff that happened when I was a kid, exactly when did I have different eye operations and what were they, and went back to my eye doctors and asked for records of, what my vision was at different points. That was really the only research there was. Everything else was just writing down stories that I've been telling people, off and on through my whole life, remembering them, running, a few things by people to say, wait a minute, what exactly, where did this happen anyway? So those kind of things. But it wasn't like going to the library and Google and different sources and looking things up. It was more of a fun jog down memory lane.
Wow, that's great. So when did you write your first book and how old you were?
Well, this is my first book, so I'm I'm 65, and this is it.
Great. So I have time still. That's great. And within 2 years you finished it. That's awesome. Oh my God, that's really impressive.
There's no need to rush into it, right?
Yes, you motivated me. I'm gonna start writing it. That's my to-do list for sure. So what do you like to do when you're not writing?
My wife and I like doing all kinds of different social things. We like going to listen to music, going to listen to talks on all kinds of different subjects. We like hanging out with friends and family when possible. We like travel. Some of those things are all severely restrained due to coronavirus, but they'll come back. Individually, we also both like exercise, although we like completely different kinds of exercise.
Oh wow!
If she does like Pilates and all kinds of dance exercises, if I had to do those, I do those with her like once every couple of years just to like do them. But they're not for me. I like lifting weights and jogging and doing push-ups and pull-ups and stuff like that. And then in terms of other activities, I'm an underlined amateur jazz trumpeter, and I play in 2 bands and really enjoy that. That's also on hold during the coronavirus. You can't get together with people, and you definitely can't parade and perform.
That's impressive. Actually, my master thesis was about exercise, and I wanted to see what would happen about the pressure of the eyes when they perform certain exercise. Like I compared those who doing bicycling, jogging versus do weightlifting. And short story, and then shows that when they do bicycling, jogging, the pressure of the eyes intend to go lower and good for glaucoma patient. The glaucoma patient also intend to be low vision patient. Versus they do weightlifting, working on the upper body, the pressure of the eye goes up, and the person who work more lower body weightlifting, the pressure goes down. So interesting. I mean, in general, like weightlifting.
I get that my eyes check once a year, and the pressure's always been good, but I have definitely never exercised just immediately before getting that check. So that's all news to me.
Yes, and you're doing great. But as long as it's not that much pressure, because that leads to retinal detachment and so. But you're doing great. I mean, if you.
Well, what about if you like? One of the things I do is like handstands. Where the blood is also rushing to your head. Is that bad?
Some research says that the blood flow is good for ocular perfusion, and some people, the other research shown that if you're like inverted or whatever, it's just like your IOP goes high. So it's a research. I don't have a 100% answer for that, but it's 50-50.
But generally, exercise got to be good for you.
Yes, I do agree. But if you just weight it like so heavily, which is not good for your eye for sure. You need your like balance up to how much weight you can lift, right?
Well, I'm definitely not in the superstar weightlifting category.
I see. Okay, so I would like to ask you the next question. What was one of the most surprising things you learned in creating your books?
I guess it was what I mentioned before. When I asked 10 friends and then an additional 10, how generous they were with their time and how tremendously helpful their suggestions and ideas were. And so I would recommend that to anybody who's writing. It's after you work as hard as you can on a draft, and when you're writing your own book, you end up reading your own writing over and over and over and thinking about it over and over and over, and you just miss stuff. You have the same word written 3 times in a row, or you've mentioned the same story twice 3 chapters later. Things like that you just gloss over because you've read it so much, what you're trying to say. But if you get a bunch of people to read it fresh, they're really great at spotting all this stuff. Right. And it's really, some people seem to really enjoy it, and they were tremendously helpful, and it was very generous of them. So it's I would recommend asking friends to do the same.
So do you have any suggestions to help me become a better writer? If so, what are they?
How to become a better writer? Well, I would guess first, hopefully, if you want to become a better writer, you enjoy reading and you read a variety of things, and you learn from everything you read. That sort of just flows in. And then there's also, different blogs and articles you can read about how to become a better writer. But I would always try to make sure you write the kind of things that make sense to you. You've got to write about something you enjoy, some topic that gets you excited, and hopefully that will come across in what you write about.
Great. Do you hear from your readers much? What kind of things they say?
Well, the book has not come out yet, so very few people have seen the final version. There's a couple of people who have seen what are called advanced review copies, which I didn't even have until 2 weeks ago. And that's basically the version of the book that will be printed. So I do have some very nice, what are called book blurbs, and they and other information about the book is on my book's website, kenbrandt.com, KenBrandt.com. And they're very, very positive. They talk about it being, good stories, good to read cover to cover. So it was all very positive.
Amazing. I'm so excited your book gets published so I can learn it. That's really impressive. So actually, I'm working the glaucoma division at UCLA, where most patients we have low vision, and I'm just waiting your book get published. I can introduce your book, and that's really has a positive impact on them, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. What do you think makes it?
Well, the more I think it's one of those books where a lot of people, well, not one of those books, I don't know of any other book like this, but this book anyway, a lot of eye doctors, all different types, ophthalmologists, etc. If they've got somebody who's already done everything they can to improve their vision, but they're sort of unhappy, feeling like they're a little down about the whole thing, I bet my book could cheer them up. It'd be a good book to recommend to those people.
I believe so. I'm just waiting and so excited your book get published, and especially audio, it helps a lot. Thank you so much. And my next question would be, what do you think makes a good story?
Well, I think the books I've liked the most and the stories I like the most are real page turners. Like you're reading and you really want to know what's going to happen next. You're just excited about turning the page and reading the next part, and you just keep going, and then in the end you like the ending, but you're somehow disappointed that it ended. So you like it, but you're disappointed that it didn't somehow go on forever, which is impossible.
True.
I'm not saying my book meets that ideal, but I went for it.
As a child, what did you want to do when you grow up?
Well, I wanted to be. I thought that would just be a great thing to do. There was this one picture of me which is lost. I remember seeing it and hearing about it, which was me in my front yard. I was just old enough to stand up, and I'm wearing my cowboy hat and my fake gun holsters, and I'm standing there happy as can be, and I'm not wearing anything else, and you're thinking, how did that happen? What happened there? I don't know. But anyway, I grew up and I did get a chance to actually be a cowboy for a while. I have cousins who live in Montana, which is a state in the western US, and they have a cattle ranch. And I went out there and worked a couple of different times, and I had the time of my life. And some of the adventures in the book take place out in Montana on that ranch, stuff related to, herding cattle and digging ditches and all that kind of stuff you do on the ranch.
Wow, you experienced so much. Incredible. What advice would you give to people with poor eyesight?
Well, first, go do everything you can, like everybody should. Do everything you can to take care of your health and be healthy and exercise and go to the eye doctor regularly, make sure your eyes are in good shape, eat right, all of that basic stuff. If your eye doctor says you should get glasses or contact lenses or have an operation, whatever you can do to safely improve your eyesight, great. If you're doing something where you should wear safety goggles, wear them, do all of that stuff. That's what everybody should do. But then, what do you do with, like you're there, you've got poor eyesight, you can't do anything else to improve it. What do you do? Well, first, just be grateful. Be grateful for whatever sight you have. Be happy that you can see some stuff. Second, whatever is going on, whatever you want to do, just give it a red hot go. Go for it. Your eyesight shouldn't stop you. Just go for it. And third, while you're going for it, enjoy yourself. Enjoy the adventure. Have fun along the way. It's more adventurous if you have poor eyesight doing a lot of things. Take it, enjoy the advantages of poor eyesight. Just give it a go.
So are you saying that poor eyesight is better than good eyesight?
Absolutely not. Good eyesight, my vision has actually gone up and down a lot during my life. I've had 6 different eye operations. I've had a detached retina in each eye. I've had a cataract operation in each eye. And then there's been some unexplained ups and downs, with eye doctors just, they just didn't know, why did it get a little better? Why did it get a little worse? As well as there's, like with everybody, there's sort of normal fluctuations. But more specifically, to answer your question, good vision is absolutely better than poor vision. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm not arguing that at all. What I'm saying, and this is the entire point of the book, is there are some advantages to having poor eyesight. It's better to have good eyesight than poor eyesight, but there are advantages to having poor eyesight. You might live longer. There's greater creativity and imagination, more adventure and discovery, enhanced perception and use of your other senses. You could have, the other advantages include better balance, better hand-eye coordination. And on all of this stuff I explain in the book. The world can be a more beautiful place, enhanced racial harmony. You're better at public speaking. You can be better at public speaking because of poor vision. So I have lots of examples in the book of all the reasons why that's true and show that.
That's really impressive, yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. Please describe the book to us.
Well, we talked about it a lot, but I guess I would say it's a series of adventure stories. Running around, some cops and robbers stories, some Montana horseback stories, some caving, deep in cave stories, some adventures of all different types, and interwoven with them are different smaller anecdotes all about the advantages which I just described, demonstrating those, and that's about it. That's the book, advantages and adventures of poor vision.
Thank you so much. That's really incredible. And thank you so much for giving us your time. I learned incredible things from you. Do you have any message for our member, Vision Science Academy?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the book.